not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner. Like I swore on yesterday's show that we weren't going to match today, I literally got out my Tampa Bay Rays Hawaiian shirt because I knew you wouldn't possibly have it in your closet. And here you are wearing damn blue.
Yeah,
basically matching me as best you possibly could.
Once again, I definitely don't have any Tampa Bay Rays stuff, but you knew I might have some Notre Dame stuff in tow, and well.
That's on me. That's on me. You know what? I didn't think about how you hadn't worn Notre Dame stuff yet this week, and that would have been next in the rotation. But look, I did my best. I clearly tried. Figured that you would not have this in your closet.
They're different enough. They're different enough. I don't think the people are confusing.
I'll count it.
Definitely compared to the last 2 days where we were like spitting images. This is at least an upgrade.
If I wouldn't have been wearing the hat, it would have been, it's just the same person.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to It's Just Football. It's Thursday, which means we got football on to talk about today. We're previewing Thursday Night Football with Hannah Mears, who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we got that coming up later in the show. We're also, the theme of today, we're talking about rivalries, right? Because it feels like all of the commercials that we have seen for Pittsburgh Steelers talking about this historic rivalry, and they're trying to say that the game's going to be great because these teams have been around for a little while, and I'm not so sure that's how it works. So we're talking about rivalries throughout the entire show. I think the biggest rivalry for me is actually pronouncing the word rivalry correct every time, because that is one of the words that I mess up constantly.
Really?
That's the one that's, I say like rivalry, like I want to throw a W in there.
Yeah.
I already know I'm going to get roasted for it throughout the show.
That to me, I don't think it's one of the more difficult words to pronounce, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever fucked up rivalry.
It's tough for me.
And I have I had an RL speech impediment back in the day, so that one should be tough. But I've actually crushed rivalry.
You getting over it? I'm not. So I know the chat's going to get on me for that, because we're going to be talking rivalries a lot. We're going to be talking about the best rivalries, the worst rivalries. Plus, we're going to give you our 3 things that we want to see this weekend in the NFL. It could be a team getting a big win, a coach showing up, changing a game plan, maybe something that we want to see out of a player, whatever it is. We're going to give you 3 or 4 things each that we want to see from this upcoming weekend. Saying hello to the fellas in the production suite. Quinn, Soft, Stone, Eli, how we feeling today? Thursday, we got football on.
Good, man. That is a sick shirt.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of like the team Hawaiian shirts, right? Because you can get those for pretty much anybody. But like I for me, like now that I've gotten a little older, that is like kind of replaced jerseys for me when I go to games.
I mean, that is a good progression.
Nothing against jerseys, but I rock with the like Bengals or Reds Hawaiian shirts now.
Yeah. I have a Packers Hawaiian shirt. It's not as exciting as that one, though. It's pretty drab.
That one's hot. I got this for free.
Oh, really?
They gave this away.
Did you have to sign up for a credit card?
No. Normally I do. Yeah. And now I'm trying to figure out why I can't get a house.
Yeah,
they want to approve me for a house, and I've got 80 credit cards and a bunch of free sports merchandise. But before we move on for you guys, what's the question of the day? Quinn, do we have a question of the day for the chat?
We do, yeah. So you teased the rivalry thing earlier. See, that's not that hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's up. I don't look, I'm who I am.
That's like rivalry.
I don't think I'm going to say like rivalry, but
you did just kind of butcher.
All right,
rivalry.
okay, whatever. Right, what's the question?
Question of the day: what's the best rivalry in all of sports? Doesn't have to be football. It can be anything.
Ooh, best rivalry in all of sports. Mm-hmm. Ooh,
that's good. That's good. I'm thinking.
There's a lot to choose from.
Yeah,
we're going to be thinking about this throughout the entire show. You guys should be as well. Fire off what you think is the best rivalry in sports. I'm thinking so hard every time I have to say this word.
Yeah.
I'm thinking so hard concentrating on it. But
let
us know.
A lot today too,
could be baseball, could be basketball, college, pro.
Can't be baseball. We're not going to do baseball.
Well, I mean, there's a historic rivalry in baseball.
If you guys say Yankees, Red Sox, we're shutting the stream down.
Yeah, it's not going to.
They play like 15 times a year.
If I say it or if the chat says it.
If you guys say it. I can't control what the chat says.
Oh, I'm not.
Well, actually, I can. We could kick him out of the chat. So don't say that.
The second answer that the chat gave was Yankees, Red Sox. I'm looking at it now.
Well, we'll have to.
Nicholas also said Sox Yankees easy. Easy.
I mean, it's old. They are old team. Like baseball's old sport. But it's
Yeah,
gotta
but
be a
does,
football.
yeah, but
or
does
honestly,
old mean
individual ones are
good? Does
better.
old necessarily mean good? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they were trying to tell us on the broadcast or the commercials this week. It was Steelers, Browns, like these are the oldest teams ever. And they're going up against each other. They've played a lot before. All right, well, it's still Mitchell Trubisky versus Jacoby Brissett, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I'm thinking. I don't have a great answer off the top of my head.
We will. We'll have a good one by the end of the show. Okay. Y'all keep firing it off. We got some soccer answers in there. Liverpool versus United. I know soccer, football, whatever. If people are going to get on me for that, but like there are some soccer rivalries that are intense that happen across the pond. So if you guys fire that off, those are fully game as well. Question of the day: what is the best rivalry in sports? You can also get creative with it. You can have a little fun with it. You know, like. One guy versus himself, or like Michael Phelps versus like literally anyone on the planet, or like stuff like that.
That wasn't really a rivalry because he fucked everyone up.
That's what all right, that's what I'm saying. You guys can get creative with it. We'll give you free reign. Let's look at the timeline though. Let's refresh the timeline. Let's talk about some of the best social clips that we saw this week, mainly yesterday. I think is where we got most of these from. I want to start with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have talked a lot about Amon-Ra St. Brown here on this show. Last week we said that he had that dog in him, and Mike, it only seems that with every social clip he has, that grows. That dog in him grows more and more. Listen to what Amon-Ra St. Brown said earlier this week.
You know, the draft, it is what it is. Like, I think, I mean, even the Commanders, they got a guy before me over there. I believe his name is De'Ami Brown. I don't know how many catches he had. You guys can probably tell me that, or how many yards he had, but I don't forget things like that. You know, I see him across the sideline from where I'm standing during the game, and every team that I'm gonna give every team hell.
I mean, you honestly were watching Miami a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't see him in the game much.
Well, he didn't see him in the game much. 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. That was De'Ami Brown's stat line.
Here's the thing, though, about Amon-Ra St. Brown, and not to like take anything away from him, but I'm talking more macro perspective here. This is the thing that like it's tough to quantify, right? Because if he goes top 15, maybe doesn't have that chip on that shoulder. Is he as good as he is right now?
Maybe not.
It's one of the things I love about draft prospects and like the draft analysis is that like that stuff, oftentimes like that right there is the difference between an average NFL wide receiver and what Amon-Ra St. Brown has become right now as an impact player for the Detroit Lions is that dog in him, or that will to prove everyone wrong. That sometimes it comes down to a thing like that. Sometimes it comes down to slipping in the draft.
Right.
And if he was, this highly touted, he's a 5-star recruit, goes to USC. If he was then a top 10 pick, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he is resting on his laurels. Maybe he's not as good as he is. So I think that's always an interesting sort of thing when it comes to the draft analysis, is that it's hard to know who's going to have that mindset. Who's going to come and bring it every single day like that. And sometimes it is just because they got passed over. Well, that's what fuels them.
That's the toughest part about scouting, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, like you and I can watch a lot of tape on these guys and we can see where they win, what they do well. But at the end of the day, the difference between the guys who achieve their potential and the ones that don't is between the ears, right? It's even in the chest, if you want to say the heart. Like it's the motivation. It's, can these guys take to teaching? Will they be motivated? Will they have that work ethic? And that's what I think a lot of these teams do such a great job of, at least the best ones do, of figuring that out, figuring out who are those guys. You're drafting people as much as you are players, and I think that that's kind of a motto for the NFL draft that a lot of these teams have. And you're right, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown is not that guy if he wasn't passed over the way that he was, but clearly from that clip, clearly from what we have seen over the last year and a half of him, a 4th-round draft pick well spent for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So you do love to see it. Okay, next on the list. It goes down in the DMs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not talking about Adam Levine. I'm talking about Tom Brady. Because now Tom Brady, there are 2 wide receivers now on his team that are on the Buccaneers because of Instagram DMs. The latest one is Cole Beasley. And according to a report from Greg Auman, Cole Beasley had reached out to Tom Brady about coming to the Buccaneers. Didn't have his phone number, so he was just sending him DMs on Instagram. This guy is firing off, shooting his shot at Tom Brady. which kind of tells me two things. One, that this is just a hilarious age of football that we live in. Two, if there was ever any doubt, who controls the Buccaneers roster moves? It's Tom Brady. If Tom Brady wants somebody on the team, he's going to get him on the team. Cole Beasley knew that. Cole Beasley's got an agent. Like, the agent could have reached out to Jason Light and the Buccaneers, and instead Cole Beasley's out here DMing Tom Brady about it.
That's what makes, like, Brady, right? He's not just okay with being a quarterback. You know, he's just not okay doing his job. He has to have everyone else doing their job around him, and he's going to if he doesn't feel like other people are doing their job, if he feels like he wants Cole Beasley, he's going to go out and do it.
Right.
And I think that's what separates him over the course of his career versus a lot of the other quarterbacks, is that he's not just going to stay in his lane. He is going to do everything it takes to win a football game, even if it's, throwing out DMs.
And Julio Jones, I think, was the same way. I think it was the other way around, though. I think when Julio got cut from Titans, Tom Brady reached out to Julio Jones on Instagram and was just like, hey, come down to Tampa and be great. It's we are in a very unique age of football right now with social media.
It's only going to keep going that way, right? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, more accessible, especially if a player has the power that Tom Brady does. It's not like this for everybody. I'm not sure.
Baker Mayfield reached out in your DMs. You're fucking going the other way.
You might be leaving him on red if that's the case. Mahal said, I want to see Trevor say all three St. Brown brothers' names. Okay, it's not like I can't talk.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys think I can't talk now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Osiris St. Brown, and then Equinemius St. Brown, right? Those are the three?
Yeah.
I don't know the middle names. Maybe the middle names are Egyptian and super long and very difficult to say as well, but I don't know those off the top of my head. Yeah, people in the chat saying Tom Brady's the GM, Tom Brady's the coach. Well, we also got a shot at USC. Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London on the same team, 0 titles. Clay Helton's a fraud. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, so. It kind of was a fraud for being real. I mean, he wasn't a good coach.
He was not a good coach.
I liked him, though.
Last refresh the timeline that we have. Man, college football, different animal. And this headline from Brett McMurphy tells you exactly why, okay? 21-year-old Utah student was arrested after she threatened to detonate a nuclear reactor that is located on campus if the Utes lost to San Diego State. She was booked into Salt Lake County Jail on Wednesday for the threat. Fortunately, Utah won the game anyways.
Oof. One too many Diet Cokes up there up in Salt Lake City. We've all been there. We've all been hammered.
Have we?
We've all been hammered at a game and threatened to blow up campus.
I don't think we have.
He who has not cast the first stone. That's a new one, honestly, though. The nuclear reactor. One, knowing there's a nuclear reactor on campus. Two, threatening to actually detonate said nuclear reactor. I feel like you'd have to have some other equipment with you to do so. So curious what that student planned on following, how they planned on following through with said threat. But yeah, glad to see our justice system doing its job.
That's good. It is a great thing. I have a similar story about that. When I was in middle school, you remember AIM, right?
Yeah.
AIM messages. You remember how you could set an away message, like when you weren't there, but you still wanted to be online.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent an away message one time when I was in middle school, and I was studying for exams. And the reason why I couldn't be on my computer is because I was studying for exams. And I said, sometimes I wish the school would just blow up. And then I said studying for exams or whatever. And my parents saw that. And they absolutely went in on me. They're like, you can't say stuff like that. And I was an idiot. Of course you can't say stuff like that because that's not something that you should say. That's a real threat. That's not a good thing to say. But I guess you're right. I guess maybe I have been there. Didn't even take a sporting law. So I was an idiot in middle school.
Studying for tests.
Never did it again.
Teenager.
Never obviously did it again because I was like, oh yeah, you know what? That's actually not a great thing to say in any way, shape, or form. Let's move on. Let's talk about ranking some of these rivalries. We talked about Thursday Night Football. It's Steelers. It's Browns. They're hyping it up like we're supposed to care the fact that these teams have played so many times over the years. I really don't. I'm not a sucker for that history the way that it is, especially if the teams suck in the moment. But I figure it would be a good time for us to rank rivalries we care about and rivalries that we don't. See, I was slow on that one. I was slow on saying rivalries. What are some rivalries that you don't care about, Mike?
See, I am of the opinion that I'm not going to police what you should care about as from a rivalry.
That's fair.
But there is one rivalry. I'm going to go to the collegiate ranks that you should definitely not care about, and it's the civil conflict. It is UConn against UCF. It was started by Bob Diaco in 2012. They have this absurd trophy that they just started a rivalry. Two teams not even close to each other, just playing the same conference. You should not care about this rivalry. This is the one where we cannot just make up an awful rivalry, call it the civil conflict, and then have a trophy for it and act like it means something. That one doesn't. Most rivalries go off. This one does not.
That one is a little bit of a stretch. I'm not sure I care about UCF and UConn.
No one does.
I don't even know. That's one of those things where it's like, hey, let's just make this game cool so people care about it.
Yeah, here's a trophy. No, we don't. I care less now that there's a trophy.
I think I'm with you. Rivalries that I don't care about. The number one, it goes into last week. I don't care about Bears-Packers, brother. I just don't. This one's terrible. The Bears have won 4 times since 2008. I'm out.
Yeah, it's not a rivalry like that, but it is one of those things.
Bears lead the series, don't they? I think they do.
The Packers have gained a lot of ground. Obviously, gained a lot of ground, and I think it's either close. They either overcame them or can overcome them this year. It's close. But I'll say this: it's one of those things where you're so close to each other. You can get, if you're in Chicago, you can get Green Bay Sports Talk Radio. If you're in Green Bay, you can get Chicago Sports Talk Radio. And after the game, if you win, as winning growing up as Packers fan, you listen to Bears Sports Talk Radio because you wanted to hear the Bears complain about their team. And if you're a Bears fan, you listen to the Packers Sports Talk Radio because you want to hear the Packers care about the team. That's how you know it's a good rivalry.
I also don't give a damn about any NFC or AFC South rivalry. These games are always on Thursday Night Football. They always try to sell it as a division game.
They're
I don't
all
care.
Like new teams.
Right. I just don't care.
It's hard
Unless
to
it's like
have that.
Cortland Finnegan versus Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't really care about it.
You don't like Jags Titans, like with the wacky uniform combinations, like the all mustard?
Well,
you know what I'm talking about? You don't like those games?
I didn't hate the all mustard.
Those are kind of hot.
I actually didn't hate the all mustard unis. Didn't the Titans have all red ones? Or was it? No, that was the Bills.
It was all mustard and all baby blue.
They had the baby blue.
Oh yeah.
And like the two worst teams in the league playing on Thursday. That was a good. That was like, I don't want to say good, but that was entertaining to watch.
I was at least watching it for the jerseys. No, let's be honest. I was watching it for Blake Bortles. Because you just never knew what the man was about to do. Was he going to throw 5 touchdowns on you? Were they all going to be garbage time and not matter? Was he going to throw 5 picks? You had to tune in. It felt like Blake Bortles was must-see TV before Jameis Winston was even must-see TV. That's how it felt. But yeah, any AFC rivalry I don't really care about. What about some rivalries that you should care about?
So again,
what are some rivalries that you like?
Any rivalry you're a part of, any rivalry you got, like go all in. I love rivalries as a Notre Dame fan. I trash talk Michigan fans. I trash talk USC fans as a Pack fan. I obviously trash talk Vikings, Bears. Love it. Love that part of the game. Never get away with it. Never get away from it. But I also think we should care more about head coaching rivalries. And I want more trash talk between head coaches, whether it's Harbaugh Carroll back in the day. It was fantastic. Saban Jimbo is a fantastic rivalry. At the NFL level, Mike McCarthy versus clock management has been a tremendous rivalry over the years, and him trying to figure out how to use timeouts. I love head coach rivalries. I think we should hype those up more. And from a schematic perspective, there's a lot that goes into, like the cat and mouse game, I think plays out a lot on the football fields that doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm a fan of those as well, and need more of those in the sport.
You know what?
Because there are a lot of those guys that, like, especially at the collegiate level, entrenched. Like, you're there for a while.
Yeah.
Start getting a little back and forth here.
That is a really good point, because the part of rivalries I think that sometimes gets annoying is you talk about results of these teams when they played, when none of the players were the same. Yes. Sometimes none of the coaches were the same. But if you do have the same coach, it's a chess match. And it's not just a chess match year to year, but sometimes even longer than that. You're pulling things out of the box that you had years ago that might have worked, that you're trying to bring back against a certain coach because it worked a certain way. I think that's a really good point. Rivalry amongst head coaches is a really good one. And that's something that I think works in both college football and NFL football. I think that's a good one there. I've got 5. I've got rivalries that you should care about, and I'm going a little bit beyond teams, okay? Number 5, getting a little creative with this one. I've got Tua supporters versus Twitter. This is a rivalry, man.
Yeah,
this
the rest
gets
of Twitter.
heated. every single week it feels like it's a new episode of this bad boy.
I was part of Tua on this offseason, and I still stand with the Tua supporter. So
okay, all right. So you're in
why
it.
I got the hate.
So you're in it. You're in the trenches. Number 4, I have the Seahawks versus any normalcy at all. To quote Kevin Clark, who has the famous tweet, "The Seahawks have never played in a normal game." It's basically what we're looking at here. Not just game. It feels like even the storylines outside of Seattle and what comes from that team are so weird.
Yeah.
Feels like it's just like they cannot be a normal franchise in any way, shape, or form. But
it's because they had a not normal leader for a long time.
Well, I mean, they didn't have Russ is obviously unique for a lot of reasons. They had a historic defense led by Richard Sherman, which was in the spotlight a lot, and it was just like there was such a roller coaster with what was going on with the Seahawks. So I think that one's one. Number 3, had to give a shout out. Greatest wide receiver cornerback duo currently going on, or battle currently going on in the NFL, like Evans, Marshawn, and Lattimore.
Cortland Finnegan, Andre Johnson, right?
Yeah,
they've picked up that scepter of wide receiver DB rivalry.
I have Jameis Winston versus himself. It should actually be Jameis Winston versus the devil on his shoulder, because that's always what it's about, right? Jameis he's an incredibly talented
on and off the field.
Right. But he's an incredibly talented quarterback, but it's just like, especially when we're talking on the field, you look at last week's game, it's like, we're still within the ability to go get it, and it's just goes full Jameis. Yeah. He just goes full Jameis on the situation. Number 1's actually a serious one that I think is really great, and kind of goes back to the head coach theme that you brought up with yours. Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert. I think there's a chance where we get these guys in this division for the next decade.
Yeah, two elite QBs playing every year is awesome.
Yes.
Going back to Brady Manning, like seeing, and obviously they met every year because they were number one. They won their division every year. But I think those rivalries are great because there's always there is that back and forth. There is that ability to answer. Whereas some other positions, whether it's even like a wide receiver DB, you don't necessarily have your opportunities. You're not in control the way quarterbacks are.
This guy said his wife versus his girlfriend is his biggest rivalry. I didn't know Adam Levine was in the chat. Big shout out, Adam Levine. We've got Mark who said Notre Dame versus the BCS.
That one's too far. You can't have a one-sided rivalry, all right?
That one is a little too far.
Notre Dame has to win once for that to be a rivalry.
Drake said Derek Carr versus the haters. That one is a real one. I brought up the Tua one, but Derek Carr's been
Derek Carr, you have to throw David Carr in there too, because he's on TV defending him 24/7, it seems like.
Yeah. Kuba said he thought it'd be Pat Mahomes versus Josh Allen. I think that's a really good one too, but obviously the schedule doesn't set up for them to play every single year. So I went with Justin Herbert because I thought that they at least get 2 matchups a year. Maybe we get Josh Allen in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes, but the thing is that even if the Bills aren't always going to be a great team, even if the Chiefs aren't always going to be a great team.
Well, we get it this year. I'm not sure which.
We'll definitely get it that year, but there's no guarantee how long this continues, even if these guys are good. We're guaranteed to probably get Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes every single year. So I think that's one a good one. DT Dynasty says the Sacramento Kings versus making the playoffs. A little NBA shout out because his YouTube AV is a Sacramento Kings AV.
I couldn't tell you any NBA rivalries. I'm not deep enough in the game.
No? I mean, Lakers Celtics.
Okay.
The Orlando Magic versus literally any kind of competence at all whatsoever. Yeah. Literally any.
That one.
Trash.
Losing that rivalry.
I mean, the Sacramento, unfortunately, that's the same thing. Sorry, DT Dynasty. There's a lot of, there's a lot of cool, beyond the rivalries themselves, there's so many cool rivalry nicknames. Do you have a favorite that you like? I've got a list up right now of ones that I like.
What do you got?
Holy War is sick. Between
I like the Egg Bowl. Doesn't make I don't know the genesis of the Egg Bowl, but the Egg Bowl is nice.
I don't know Mississippi State. That is a good one. The Civil War is Oregon. Wait. Which Civil War is? I thought that was Oregon State, Oregon.
Okay. What's Washington State called then?
Isn't that the Apple Cup?
Okay, yeah, Apple Cup.
That's not nearly as savage.
That's not as cool.
Not nearly as savage. Backyard brawl between Pitt and West Virginia, obviously sick. The Red River rivalry.
Rivalries, yeah.
The tongue twister of all time. Bedlam, Oklahoma State. That's a good one. I have a list on here, and I didn't know this one beforehand. Brawl of the Wild, which is Montana versus Montana State. When you think about it, that's pretty sick.
That is a good name for a rivalry.
And then we've got 100 Miles of Hate, which is Middle Tennessee versus Western Kentucky.
Interesting. I didn't know that one.
That's a savage one.
That's 100 Miles of Hate.
Iron Bowl is obviously pretty good. I like Iron Bowl.
College football, though, hard to top Ohio State, Michigan. Truly is.
The
I
game.
keep seeing the
game.
Yeah, like when you just call it the game, it's hard to top. College basketball, North Carolina, Duke, hard to top that. I'm trying to think, NFL, what would be the premier NFL rivalry? Now, obviously, I think Chicago, Green Bay has played the most. Hard to call that.
I would say that the best rivalry in the NFL is Ravens Steelers.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
It's wild because that one's sort of new, right? Like the Ravens are an expansion team from the 90s.
Yeah, but I just feel, you go back 20 years and you go back to that Ravens defense, the Steelers defense. The Steelers have always been good. The Ravens have always been good. So that's the one that is certainly somebody who was born in the early 90s. Like, that's the one that sticks out to me as the biggest rivalry. It's
been the best one.
Ravens versus Steelers. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I forgot any names. USF versus UCF is the Battle of I-4, the war on I-4. It's pretty savage. I think that's about it. I think we hit the good ones.
Louisville UC, RIP, they don't play anymore.
What is that?
Keg of nails. That was a good one. And they had like an actual keg of nails. Like it was an old barrel with nails sticking out of it. It was sick. They should play again. They don't.
Isn't there one where there's like an axe or like a sledgehammer or something?
Paul Bunyan's axe? That's Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best
There's a
trophy.
name for that rivalry, though.
It's literally an axe, right?
Yeah. They have a big-ass axe.
They just swing the axe around? Okay. Well, let us know if we forgot any, if there's some names that are pretty sick. I do think that the best rivalry is Ohio State and Michigan. Yeah. I'll just say that. That's the question of the day. Oh, yeah. I mean, Tomlin versus Harbaugh. Somebody said in the chat for like Ravens Steelers, going back to your head coach point. I think that's the reason why, in my head, those teams are always good. It's because two of the best head coaches of the last 2 decades, which I think makes a lot of sense. Brandon said Martin Gramatica versus celebrating because he injured himself celebrating a field goal one time. That's tough. That's tough. All right, let's move on. If you guys want to keep talking rivalries in the chat, feel free. You can do so. Give us some of the best names of rivalries that you see in college football, that you see in the NFL. We're going to talk about 3 things that we want to see this weekend in the NFL. Beyond just Thursday Night Football, we wanted to kind of start to preview what's going to be upcoming on this Sunday slate and for Monday as well. So, Mike, I'll start with you. When you look at the whole NFL right now, we're 2 weeks in. Everything that you have seen, analyzed, what you liked, what you didn't like, what is something that you want to see this weekend?
I want to see a shootout. I want to see a back-and-forth quarterback shootout. And we have some opportunities here. We got Rodgers versus Brady. Ooh! We got T-Law versus Herbert. We got Josh Allen versus Tua. Like, we got maybe some of those, maybe not as good as some of the others. I'll admit that. But we have the potential for some shootouts. I want to see it come to fruition. I want to see a back-and-forth in the fourth quarter. One QB giving their best, other QB giving their best. And I want to see some points on the scoreboard. Yeah, so that's what I want to see. That's the biggest thing I want to see.
Well, you talked yesterday about like defenses being back.
Yeah.
And I think that we just have not seen a lot of shootouts. We have not seen a lot of shootouts from teams, and I agree. We've got the opportunity there. I am really looking forward to Bills versus Dolphins. Because I think that really has a chance. Because that's in Miami, right? Yes. I think that game is in Miami, and for as much as people want to say, obviously Tua is not perfect, the way that Mike McDaniel is orchestrating that offense for them, they have the ability to put up a ton of points. And this Buffalo Bills defense has been playing really well as well. Can Mike McDaniel really figure out how to best attack this Buffalo Bills defense? Because it seems like they're just playing together so well on all 3 levels of the field.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with the Dolphins. Obviously, they played one divisional opponent, but they're in a division in the Patriots in week 1. But they're in a division where all 3 head coaches are defensive-minded coaches, which is a rarity outside of Mike McDaniel, with Bill Belichick, with Robert Saleh, with Sean McDermott. Like that, it's I'm not sure there's another division with that many in the NFL because everyone, the proliferation of offense, everyone wants the offensive-minded head coaches. So how each one will approach this new Dolphins offense, very intriguing to me to see.
Brock says that Tua is going to have like 200 yards this game. Felipe says Dolphins O-line is going to crumble, and he's a Miami Dolphins fan. Brock said that Mike McDaniel isn't going to outsmart Leslie Frazier. 2 really good head coaches really going at it there, so I do like that one. Okay, the first thing that I really want to see this upcoming weekend, I want to see Justin Fields throw the ball with confidence because it just has not happened. When I went and I looked up passing attempts for quarterbacks this season, it felt like Justin Fields has not thrown a lot. Dude, he's thrown 28 passes in 2 games. The next closest quarterback of guys who have been regular starters for 2 games was Ryan Tannehill with 53. Fields almost lost half of that. And look, it does not look good. The San Francisco 49ers game, the one that was a lot of people were saying like, hey, don't judge Trey Lance because it's in a monsoon. Kind of the same thing for Justin Fields. You couldn't really judge him there. But I go back and I watch that Packers game, and he's just not throwing the ball confidently. There are times when he has guys open downfield. There are times when he is able to go for a deep shot and he doesn't see it, or he just doesn't pull the trigger. He does like a little, you almost like see the body move a little bit like, I see he's open, but he does not fully pull the trigger. That tells me this is a guy with a lot of hesitation in his head right now. There's a lot of screens, a lot of short check down passes that this Chicago Bears passing offense is implementing right now, and I don't know if that's just because that's what they want to do, because they don't trust the offensive line, because they don't trust Fields. I'm not exactly sure what the full culprit is, but I'd love to see Fields be more confident. I don't even, some people will say like, hey, just have him throw the ball more. I don't know if I want him to throw the ball more if it's going to be more of what we're currently seeing. So that's not the takeaway from me. He's got 4 turnover-worthy plays. I believe he leads the NFL in that mark. So I don't want to see him throw the ball more if this is what we're going to get from Justin Fields. Instead, I don't care if they don't throw it that often. Just look better doing it. Be more confident. I want to see Justin Fields have more confidence in his throwing ability, and I would love to see that this weekend. I'm not so sure it's going to be that quick of a turnaround, though.
Yeah, the other thing to note, though, is so 28 pass attempts, 40 dropbacks. That means 30% of his dropbacks are not resulting in pass attempts. That's unsustainable. I don't care who you are as a quarterback. No one can be that good as a scrambler to get by doing it 30% of the times. And obviously 5 of those sacks, 7 of those ended up in scrambles. You just got to let it rip. You know, and again, it's such an oddly skewed stat at this point in time with how weird week 1 was. But when he gets the chances, I want to see him let it rip as opposed to the hesitancy, the holding on to the football that has pretty much been the story of his career up to this point.
What's next? What do you want to see this weekend?
Next thing I want to see this weekend is I want to see a vintage Travis Etienne big run.
Cool.
Dude looks explosive as hell out there. You see him running routes. You see him with the football in his hands. He has a different gear than, most of the running backs around the NFL today.
Yeah.
Well over 10% of his carries back at Clemson went for 15-plus yards. He was a big play waiting to happen in that Clemson offense. And I've loved the way they've deployed him in Jacksonville, not asking him to be your grinder between the tackles. Pretty much anytime he touches the ball, pitch, wide run, or light box, giving him some space to work. I think he's going to, if they're going to win this game, pull off the upset against Los Angeles Chargers, they need a home run from Travis Etienne, and I want to see it. I want to see this dude out in the open field because he looks good so far early on outside of the drops. Obviously.
85. That's a lot. I didn't realize he had that many. I mean, obviously he was one of the most explosive players in all of college football, but 85, I mean, that's a massive number. There's no doubt that they need to get the ball in this guy's hands, but he also needs to deliver when they're targeting him, right? You go back to week 1, he's got the 2 drops, the 2 touchdowns right there. So he's in a backfield with James Robinson as well, who is showing that James Robinson is somebody that they can lean on in the ground game. So that makes it tough for him. The way that Etienne can really establish what he can do best on this team is without a doubt being that explosive guy, being that home run hitter, just having that threat to really take it the distance. So I'd love to see it as well. Jaguars are a team that I think is on the up, so I'd love to see it. My next one, I'll stay in the backfield, but also urging the Colts to use Nyheim Hines in ways that aren't just in the backfield. When I was looking at Nyheim Hines' usage and I was thinking about the Colts, and man, just have not been a team that has been able to move the ball on offense the way they need to. I believe 6 out of their last 8 quarters they have been shut out. And they really have not emphasized Nyheim Hines. And I think that Hines is one of the most versatile players in the league, and I think he's being underutilized right now. 41 offensive snaps so far this season. There's only 2 players, skill players I should say, on the Colts with less snaps, and that's Des Patton and Jelani Woods. Patton didn't even play in week 1. So Patton's, that's somebody who, if he would have played week 1, he probably would have been ahead of Nyheim Hines as well. So I know Frank Reich said after this past game they would love to get Nyheim Hines the ball more. They said that was kind of in their game plan, but it really just didn't work out that way. But come on, man. Michael Pittman didn't play. Alec Pierce didn't play. You were already down options in this game, and you just did not use Hines the way that I thought that they were going to. He's got an 82.0 receiving grade. That's the highest on the team. And I would just love to see him be used in the slot more. I feel like they have not utilized Hines as a slot receiver, and I went back and I watched all the clips of him in the slot. And he's got that ability to be a nice two-way player. He can threaten those slot corners that are going up against him. He can really eat up that space very quickly. He's quick off the line. He's quick changing direction. All of that stuff goes in his favor. So with the Colts struggling on offense as much as they are, I would love to see them get Hines the ball a little bit more, because I think that he could be a really good return on investment player if they use him in a variety of different ways.
I mean, I've seen their other receivers. I've seen Paris Campbell try to run option routes. I've seen what they got outside of Michael Pittman, and it's not a lot. It's not stuff that's going to make me feel confident as Matt Ryan to target them. So Matt Ryan obviously has the rapport. Like when Hines is in the game, he's trusting him, looking his way. I'd get that guy more touches, or at least more snaps in the very first place. So yes, I agree with you there.
You got one more? Do we have one more?
I got Uno Mas. I'm looking for one of these top 10 rookie offensive tackles to step up. Now's the time. 2 games in, they are struggling. Overall grades below 60 for all these guys. I get that they've had some tough matchups out the gate, but it's not been great. I want to see just some step up from one of them. You got Icky going against the Saints this upcoming weekend. You have Evan Neal going against the Cowboys. Maybe not the easiest matchup there for him and Micah Parsons.
That's not
maybe
great.
He's not the one to add to this list. But then you got Charles Cross going up against the Falcons. He, at the very least, he's got to win that matchup. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one of these guys to show why they were top 10 picks. Because right now it's kind of been a ho-hum adjustment period for all 3.
That's going to be tough for Evan Neal.
That's going to be tough.
Especially since Andrew Thomas on the other side is playing so well.
They won't put Parsons over.
No, they'll just tell Parsons to go after Evan Neal. But O-line is tough, right? That's a really tough position, no matter where you are drafted. Being in the trenches, going from the college football level to the pro level, it is really difficult to be able to stand out right away, is it not?
Yes, and it's kind of the nature of the position also. It's like you can screw up as a wide receiver and not get targeted. You screw up twice, 2 routes, and it's like, no big deal. You can make up for it. You screw up 2 pass pros, quarterback's out his flat on his back, and you had an awful game.
Right.
So it's just a different animal, what you're asked to do and the consistency you have to play with, and that takes a while to do in the NFL.
Yep. All right, let's preview this Thursday Night Football action. We've talked about rivalries all week, or all day, I should say, here on this show. We've got one in Steelers-Browns, even though it might not be a historic rivalry, as we have seen in the past of these teams. Somebody's going to get a win, and this is going to be a big win for one of these 2 teams. In order to help us out with previewing this game, we have Hannah Mears on with us. She does a great job covering so many different things in football. She works for the Big Ten Network. She covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hannah, you're all over the place, so we appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time here today to preview this game between the Steelers and the Browns. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my honor. I was so excited when you guys asked me to come on. You guys are like celebrities and you really know what you're doing. So I feel like I'm like making it here, making an appearance. I'm not worthy, but I'm really excited. Thanks for having me.
Well, you got the blue. She got the blue memo. You see?
Yeah.
We're all wearing like different shades of blue. So I think
I don't think I'm wearing my Notre Dame blue, but
I would expect anyone to at this point after how they started. But
it's close to Florida Gator blue, anyways, which I'm great with. Anna, you've been covering this Pittsburgh Steelers team this year, and obviously there's frustration, some things that are within their control, some things that are outside of their control. But I know something that a lot of fans have been talking about has been the offense, and we'll get to the quarterback position in a second. But I want to ask you about offensive coordinator Matt Canada, because he has been under the microscope for a lot of criticism with these slow offensive starts so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's kind of been the vibe around Steelers fans and just media and people who have been watching this team of, maybe the level of faith that they have in Matt Canada, his scheme that he's sending out there, and what he's doing so far this year with the Steelers?
The vibe is not good at the moment, heading Matt Canada's way. Let me just put it that way. As you guys have seen. And for me personally, I'll start with this before I put anyone else's opinions out here. My opinion to start the year, we have a show called Inside the Huddle on CBSN, and Matt Canada was in my hot seat before preseason was even through.
Wow.
And the reason was because the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, led by Matt Canada last year, as when you're just looking at the teams in the playoff picture, they had scored 343 points. And just for perspective on that, the Bills scored 484, the Cowboys 530, the Bucks 511, so significantly less than some of these teams. So to be a successful offense getting further into the playoff picture, you need to be an offense that can score points. And this Steelers team has just not proven to do that. They've been a team that's relied defensively and up to this point has been able to, but now we're seeing that shift a little. So Matt Canada has been in my hot seat, and he's still in my hot seat, even more so because he was able to blame Ben Roethlisberger a lot last year, saying, well, Ben's not running my offense. You know, Ben's doing his own thing. Well, now you don't have an excuse this year. You have Mitch Trubisky and a rookie and Kenny Pickett. Those guys going out there willingly running your offense, and it's not working. Now you're really being exposed. So everyone's sort of on that train of maybe it's not so much the quarterback as it is the offensive coordinator. You had a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger who wouldn't run your offense. That should have been a red flag to everybody from the beginning. So that's sort of my opinion as to where I stand on that. And I feel like a lot of Steelers media and fans feel the same.
So the Steelers are notoriously like a slow-moving organization that they give guys long leashes. They're not just going to cut bait after 6 months with a guy. Do you think they would make a move in season, or is this something we're going to have to wait till the offseason to come to fruition?
It would not be tradition at all for them to make something in season. Nor do I know if it's really the solution at the moment to just cut him off midseason, because then you're going into an offense that really hasn't been able to find its groove at all, and you're completely changing things schematically. What I really think needs to change is just Matt Canada letting his 6-year veteran quarterback audible on every play, not just some plays. Hearing that was ridiculous to me. Is there any trust in Mitch Trubisky at all?
Right.
You said there was, but evidently there's not. So at that point, I just think you need to kind of look at his game plan and really change things schematically within it. And he has to set his ego and pride aside and let other opinions come in. And then next year, I truly believe he's gone. But I don't think it's going to be traditional. I'd be shocked if the Steelers let him go mid-season with all the other variables going on right now.
So how close are we to Kenny Pickett, right? Because that's the conversation. If he doesn't trust Mitchell Trubisky, which you're kind of hinting at and giving some examples that he doesn't, at least so with his actions, maybe not with his words, but we're seeing that on the field. So we've already heard the clamorings for Kenny Pickett. Anytime you draft a quarterback in the first round in today's day and age, doesn't matter if they're ready or not, fans want him out there. Do you think, as somebody who's watched Kenny Pickett throughout the preseason, knows what's going on kind of within that team and within that locker room, is it close? Like, are they close to potentially going to Kenny Pickett? And then do you think it would be ready, essentially, at this point in time during the season?
Kenny. Those chants have been going through Acrisure Stadium since preseason. The fans want him. They've been ready for him, which is why I'd be nervous to throw him into a gauntlet of games that could be coming up for the Steelers and the Bucs and the Bills and the Dolphins. Because is that even fair at this point with an offense that we've seen hasn't been able to do anything? But I'm starting to feel like Mitch Trubisky's time is coming to a close, especially this week if he isn't able to do something, because he's said himself that he can make more of the shots downfield. But I guess that's kind of hard if you feel like someone doesn't trust you to do that. And I'm starting to feel that's part of it as well. So he's been so hesitant, and I think Kenny Pickett is the gunslinging kind of guy that will at least move the ball down the field and extend the play. And one thing that has been evident from the past week of people going back and forth on this topic is that the Steelers need to up the tempo. Kenny Pickett can do that and has done that. And from his combine reviews, there was one quote in particular that stuck out to me saying he's an above average overall arm strength. Okay, so A, he can get the ball down the field, and flashes of throwing a nice deep ball in rhythm, so he can work at a fast tempo in the pocket. That being said, I think he's ready. He's NFL ready, yes. Do I think that the Steelers make that move? I'm not sure, because like we said, they're a slow-moving organization, and Tomlin kind of does things the Tomlin way. So they're always an organization that's a little unpredictable with change. Do I think he might get a chance? Yes. I said I wasn't sure it was going to happen preseason before the bye week. I may change that statement a little bit now. But I don't know. I think if anything, the offensive scheme needs to change more than the quarterback does at first. But I do think Kenny Pickett's ready.
That's good.
George Pickens, 2 catches, 26 yards, 2 weeks. He was the talk of the preseason. He had the highest offensive rookie of the year odds going in
Get the man the
to
ball.
the season.
Get the man the ball.
And they've said, back-to-back weeks, they said we need to get George Pickens the ball more, but only 6 targets through 2 weeks. Do we actually see him get the ball more here?
Make it happen, Matt. Get him the football. Sorry.
If it's up to George Pickens, if you heard in his press conference, he said that he was open. I believe it was a press conference or a statement he made to a reporter. He said he was open 90% of the time. Now, Matt Canada brushed that one off, saying, I'm just going to leave that one lie. He didn't really think that, I don't believe, and I don't believe George Pickens was open 90% of the time, but I do think there was a percentage that he was. Every coach that spoke to the media and every player did say that there were available opportunities downfield that Mitch Trubisky did not hit, or that maybe Canada didn't schematically believe in at the time and didn't make the right play call. So that being said, I do think they need to start utilizing the young guy. If you don't start taking shots of him and spreading the offense out, then you're going to become even more predictable than you are. You guys all saw the Deontay Johnson routes that were run in week 1, and not much has changed.
Right.
So you've got to start seeing what he is capable of. He had rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year potential, and you're barely targeting him. For what reason? Let the guy try to make plays and let him prove he's not ready, or that he is ready, but put it in his hands at that point.
Free George Pickens, baby. Free George Pickens.
Free George Pickens.
Last question I have for you, Hannah. We're going to flip over to the defensive side of the ball. There are very few defensive players who are as valuable as TJ Watt is. And now they are without him for the foreseeable future. It looks like it's not a season-ending injury that he suffered in week 1, but it's going to be tough for the Steelers. So, their over-under win total to start the year was right around 7.5. Does the defense, will they be impactful enough? You talked about a tough schedule that they've got coming up. Just how much does, in your own words, TJ Watt's presence mean to this defense, and are they prepared to still be one of the best in the NFL without that one player?
At this point, no. They are 0-5 all time without TJ Watt. 0-5. And here's my biggest thing. When you are the highest paid defense in the NFL coming into the season, and I know TJ Watt plays a factor in that, there should be no excuse that one guy, no matter how good he is, that isn't in the lineup that week, completely transforms the way that this defense performs. You still have a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, who you guys saw. He said, watch me as your original grade with him to start the season, and then where he's been able to go. Like, there's no excuse that this defense should be performing as poorly as it is without him. Now, I am excited to see DeMarvin Leal step in. I think I like having a rookie in there better than I do somebody they're just pulling out of the ropes as a veteran that hasn't done much, because those guys have this untapped potential and this energy to really want to be out there. So I like the fact that they could be putting him there. I think he's versatile and at least makes the opposing defenses guess a little bit, because he is a rookie and you don't know what he can do. But without TJ Watt, I don't see this team being a 12-5 team as I had predicted to start the season, because I was confident. And if you did see week 1, you probably would have jumped on the train. So many media members were saying, maybe I need to change what I thought my outcome of the Steelers would be because of that defense. But without TJ Watt, I mean, it's like the Cowboys losing Parsons, right? If you don't have to double team a guy, there's so much more you can do with that defense, with your offensive schemes. So that being said, I do think it's a huge loss, and I do think that the Steelers have a lot to prove. If you're going to be the highest paid defense, you better show it everywhere. And right now, only Minkah Fitzpatrick is rising to the occasion.
One more question.
Fired on?
Not NFL related.
Fired on?
Penn State related. Penn State grad.
All right, throw it out there.
Nick Singleton or Saquon Barkley? Which one's better? That guy is a monster, the freshman.
Saquon Barkley.
I was going to say.
Have you seen Nick Singleton, though?
No, but you don't have a principle.
I'm just saying, have you seen Nick
Only
Singleton?
because of how powerful Saquon Barkley is. I haven't seen enough from Nick Singleton yet. He is a freshman. But I think the way that Saquon Barkley was able to impact a game in such a small instant was my bigger thing for him. He was just such a guy to watch, and you just never knew what he could do, and his pass game as well. But Nick Singleton, it's good to see a RB1 emerging finally for Penn State. It's been a little bit of a drought.
Ooh, for you to even put him in the conversation with Saquon.
Have you seen Nick Singleton, this guy?
No, I haven't. So the second I get off the show, I'm watching Nick Singleton, because for you to say that means it's absolutely.
The last game was the only game that Nick Singleton really showed his full potential.
Okay.
I mean, they've been doing this 3-back rotation, so to compare him to Saquon Barkley, I think is a bit premature. But he does have potential.
I'll go watch this past game. I'll go watch his best, and then we're going to revisit this on the show tomorrow. Everybody,
you let me know too.
We will absolutely let you know, because we have to get you back on the show sometime soon. Hannah, you are one of the best. Thank you so much for all the insight and the information. Thank you. We'll definitely be in touch, and we got to get you back on the show soon.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been great. Good luck.
Man, Saquon Barkley comps for a freshman.
I'm telling you.
You're on one today. All right, I'm going to get the second this show is over. I'm going, everybody in the chat, don't turn this show off. Don't you dare turn this show off. But after the show is over, go check out
220, so 6 foot, 220.
Okay.
Cleans
size?
405 pounds.
I mean, so do I.
That's how much Tristan Wirfs was like cleaning in his prime. He's a true freshman. This guy is a specimen. Just go check it out.
Okay. All right. We'll do it. All right. Let's get you guys out of here with some Thursday Night Football bets. We're going to, as we do every single Thursday, get you guys some early money for the weekend. If you don't have the PFF app, now is a great time to go get it. Go check it out. I know that a lot of you are watching on your phone. So when this show is over, go watch Nick Singleton highlights. And then after that, go download the PFF app. You'll be able to see all the fantasy football analysis, the betting dashboard, all of the articles that you love reading on PFF.com, except it's right there in the palm of your hand in a beautiful looking app. This bad boy gets better every single week. We are updating this thing and making it bigger and better for you every time we can throw out an update. So go check it out. Go get it right now. Become a smarter bettor. Become a smarter football fan. Get all the information that you love from PFF right in the palm of your hand. Thursday Night Football bets. We're talking spread, talking over-under, and we got a prop bet. So we each got 3 bets for it. We'll start with the spread. In Cleveland.
Yeah.
Favored by 4.5. What do we think?
Just give me the Browns. I'll take the Browns. That defense is at, full strength. They're good. Defense is very good, despite the bust they had towards the end of that Jets game. Still believe in them and don't believe in the Steelers offense, which is why I'm taking the under in this game as well. I think we're seeing not a lot of points, not much to be excited with. Basically been the Steelers' first 2 weeks, and this is probably the best defense they faced. And then I'm also going David Bell, over 5.5 receiving yards. It's time for this guy to make some plays. I believe he has just over 20 receiving snaps through his first 2 weeks. Get him on the football field a little more. Get him a little bit more involved in this offense, because DPJ, you kind of know what you got with DPJ. It's not a guy who's a consistent route runner that can get open. I think David Bell can be, just not deep. So get him a little roll in that offense.
Wait, it was 5.5 receiving yards?
Yeah, that's it. That's like a catch. David Bell, a catch.
Dang.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one a little bit better than mine. All right, well, we'll look at mine. I think I like that one a little bit better than mine. I'm with you on the spread. I'm picking the Cleveland Browns as well. They should have beat the Jets last week. They had that game in hand. It was an absolute collapse, but I think a lot of the things that you could take away from that game are the fact that they were better than an inferior opponent. I think that that's what's going to happen tonight in Cleveland against the Steelers. So I'm taking the 4.5. I think that they're going to cover that one. I'll say over on this one. You had the under, right? You said the under on this. I'll go over. I'll be a little bit different with you, because 38.5 is just so few points. It's Thursday Night Football. They're not great offenses. I get it, but 38.5 is too low, man. That's too low. Alpha principle. I got to go with the over on that one. Then I'm having Nick Chubb. Over 7.5 receiving yards. Basically, when Chubb catches the football, it's over 7.5 receiving yards. So I'm basically betting on 1 catch, maybe 2, but there's a handful of games where he's got 2 catches. They'll give him a decent amount of targets, like 3 or 4 targets. So I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over on 7.5 receiving yards. A little dump ball, a little screen pass, get a little nice little kick out block.
Yeah,
they get a little far downfield, convert a first down, whatever it is.
I'm trying to talk myself. I don't know. They just like the running backs.
It's 1
running
catch,
backs
Mike.
Yeah, running backs are. Them getting involved in the pass games always hit and miss, especially a guy like Chubb, who's decidedly not been that over the course of his career.
It's 1 catch. It's 1 catch. I think that we're getting it. Well, however you guys are watching Thursday Night Football, enjoy it. Quinn, guys in the production suite, did you guys have a vote for best rivalry in sports? Mike, I don't think you said yours yet. Quinn, do you have one? Do you have a best rivalry in sports? That was the question of the day.
I think, and I hate to say it, because I don't like either of these teams.
Okay,
but I think I'm going to side with. I think Ohio State, Michigan.
Ohio State, Michigan is mine.
Especially in this part of the country. I'm not an Ohio State fan, but there are a lot of Ohio State fans, obviously, in Cincinnati and Ohio.
Right.
So just kind of seeing that firsthand. I think that's it.
Do you like it when Ohio State loses? Are you somebody who enjoys when Ohio State loses?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not the person that like will go and like actively like no matter who Ohio State's playing, I root for the other team.
Right,
but,
sure.
Their fans are annoying, so like watching them kind of huff and puff.
I think any fan base that wins a lot is just annoying because you hate hearing it.
Yeah.
You know?
And here in Ohio State, especially in Cincinnati, because everyone's like, I'm a Cincinnati Bearcats fan and an Ohio State fan. It's like you can't be both.
Of course,
like,
yes, you can.
But that's like a lot of the Ohio State fans. It's like they're a fan of someone else. Oh, and Ohio State. It's like, okay, yeah, it's easy to be a fan of and someone who wins fucking every year. I get it. Like that's.
I will say this though, Cincinnati probably there's more Ohio State hate in Cincinnati, far more than anywhere else in Ohio.
Yeah,
it's not unanimous. Like if you go to Cleveland, Columbus, it's unanimous. Cincinnati, there's there's pockets. There's people like me that are like just negative on Ohio State. But it is a good rivalry.
An underrated thing about college rivalries, and especially like Michigan, Ohio State, these are 100,000 plus seat stadiums.
Yeah,
they're
I love
huge.
that. I always
like an NFL game, the atmosphere is pretty rowdy, but not when it's like 105K in a stadium. It's just a different animal than an 80,000 seat NFL.
Do you see when they had that one football game? I can't remember what it was. I think it was Tennessee versus maybe Virginia Tech, and they had it. In the middle of a NASCAR stadium?
Oh, did they do it at Talladega? Was that it?
I can't remember where it was. But it was like, wasn't it like 130,000 people that are there?
Yeah. NASCAR races are. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. We should.
500 is like 200.
We should be like stacking out a NASCAR stadium for the national championship.
That'd be cool.
Just a bunch of and like tickets are dirt cheap. Like it's just a bunch of anybody who can get in the game.
Yeah.
They're pounding a case of Bud Light before they go in. Not as glamorized.
I would go to that.
We should have like the redneck national championship every year.
In
the morning
June.
of the actual national championship. We have like this like backyard national championship and it's at a NASCAR stadium and they pack that bad boy out.
That's the third place game. Bring back the third place.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you guys had some fun with rivalries. We did today as well. We got one more show for you. It is the Friday show, which means the vibes are going to be immaculate for it. We're going to be talking about Thursday Night Football, our best reactions from what we're going to see tonight, some of the best plays, the best social clips, and then we're going to be giving you a big full-on preview of what you are going to see in the NFL on Sunday and Monday as well. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner. For everybody in the production suite as well, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow right here at 11 a.m. on It's Just Football.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.